Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Cherry was severely reprimanded by her mother and had to apologize sincerely, swallowing her pride. Last time at the club, I saw with my own eyes that your daughter picking a fight with my daughter-in-law, and then 2 days later, here she is again, under my nose, picking on my daughter-in-law. Are the Macmillians just easy targets? Even a kid can mess with us. Cynthia hadn't expected the club incident to come up and then gave her daughter a harsh slap on the shoulder. Why are you always causing trouble? I'm truly sorry, Jennifer. I've failed in disciplining my daughter. Cynthia bowed in apology, turning to Arabella, bending a full 90 degrees and sincerely said, I'm really sorry. I haven't raised Cherry properly, but I promise you will work on it. It won't happen again. Mrs. Everett, you're not the one who did wrong. There's no need for you to apologize on behalf of her. Arabella's voice was cold and clear, without any hint of taking advantage of the Macmillians' influence. Cynthia noticed that Arabella's character matched Jennifer's well, as if she was born into the Macmillian family. They truly seemed like mother and daughter. You're kind and understanding, it's all Cherry's fault. She's been spoiled rotten by us. As Cynthia said that, she turned to her daughter and curiously asked her, what happened to the cake earlier? Cherry didn't expect her mother to ask that and was at a loss for words. Cynthia's tone turned fiercer. If the CCTV can't find it, I have my ways. Better tell the truth, or I'll skin you alive. Cherry was frightened and finally mumbled with her head lowered, I knocked it over myself. Cynthia was furious and asked, with what? How did you do it? I was angry about the country club incident, so when I saw her passing by, I knocked the cupcake over with my elbow. Cynthia then gave her a hard slap across the face. Cherry was stunned, looking at her mother in disbelief. Is this how I have raised you all these years? You can dislike someone, avoid them, not befriend them, but you absolutely cannot harm them. Today, not only did you try to harm someone, but you also did it through despicable means. How could you turn out this way? At 18, you're an adult, yet you're doing these irrational things. Cherry was scared by her mother's anger and started crying. Foolish. Anyone would think this is the Everett family's usual behavior. Cynthia made her apologize again. This time, Cherry couldn't brush it off and apologized sincerely. What about you guys? Jennifer angrily looked at Cherry's friends. The girls were terrified and hurriedly apologized. We're sorry, Jennifer, sorry, Arabella. We did see Cherry knock the cupcake over but didn't stand up for Arabella, that was wrong of us. It's all my fault, please give me another chance. We're sorry, truly sorry. Seeing how scared they were, Arabella and Jennifer decided to let it go and went upstairs for afternoon tea. Cynthia quickly arranged with the restaurant manager to have a tab, meaning that any expenses incurred by the Macmillians or Arabella in the restaurant would be charged to the Everetts. After that, she dragged Cherry home for a stern lecture. A few days later, after wrapping up his work, Romeo decided to take Arabella out for a movie night. But as soon as he got home, he found Arabella all dressed up, ready to go out. Out with Mom again? He asked. Yep, Aunt Jennifer asked me to accompany her while shopping. She replied. That had been going on for days. Once Arabella had left, Romeo couldn't help but call Jennifer, Mom, when are you and Dad leaving for your trip? We decided not to go. Jennifer's voice sounded cheerful. I realized that I have more fun with Bella. Romeo asked, a hint of frustration in his voice, don't you love traveling the world? Weren't you supposed to set off right after visiting Grandma and Grandpa? No, I prefer spending time with Bella than looking at the beaches of Maldives. Bella won't be home for dinner tonight, you'll have to manage on your own. I must hang up now, Bella might try to call me. Exasperated, Romeo recalled how a couple of days ago, he wanted to take Bella to see the waterfalls, but his mom whisked her away with a single phone call. Yesterday, he planned to show Bella the rolling clouds at the sea, but again, his mom got there first. And that day, he wanted to take Bella to a movie, but by the time he got home and was ready to ask her, she was already dressed and out the door. Sitting on his couch in his empty house, Romeo felt frustrated but didn't know who to vent to. On the other side of town, Arabella, arm in arm with Jennifer, had visited several luxury stores. Jennifer was a top-tier VIP customer of many high-end brands, so every store they walked into would close its doors to other customers, providing exclusive service to them to make them feel as comfortable as it can be. At that time, they were in a top-tier fashion store, filled with all types of clothing. The store manager, along with several employees, enthusiastically followed Jennifer and Arabella around, introducing various items and curiously wondering about Arabella's identity. "We've never seen this young lady before," the store manager complimented genuinely. "She's incredibly beautiful and carries a unique aura." Jennifer loved hearing praises about her daughter-in-law. She chuckled and asked, "Do we look like mother and daughter?" "Mother and daughter." The store manager chuckled. "Mrs. McMillian, you are too young for that. More like sisters. But the young lady does have your extraordinary features and elegant demeanor. She does look like a family member." "We are family," Jennifer said, then turned to Arabella and asked affectionately, "Do you like this dress?" "I have too many dresses already." Arabella didn't want Jennifer to spend more. She had already bought her so many things. Anything that was good-looking and suitable, Jennifer had already bought it for her. George couldn't even carry all the shopping bags, so he had the driver take a car full of shopping bags home. No matter what, she didn't want Jennifer to buy any more. However, the store manager and the employees all said, "Please accept Mrs. McMillian's kind gesture. We've never seen Mrs. McMillian bring any girl here before, let alone select clothes for her. She must really like you. Your skin is so fair. Wearing this dress would make you look like a fairy descended from heaven. If you wear this dress and walk with Mrs. McMillian, everyone can tell that you're family." In the end, the last comment captured Jennifer's heart. She generously said, "I'll take this one in small." "Yes, Mrs. McMillian." The store manager was overjoyed and personally went to wrap it up. "Mrs. McMillian, your taste is impeccable. You've picked out the crown jewel of our store. Mrs. McMillian must really care for you, splurging on such an elegant and expensive dress for you. I'm so envious." "Yes, you are indeed fortunate." Compliments flowed around Arabella. After a while, Jennifer had purchased quite a few items. George, unable to carry any more, called their chauffeur to ask where he was. "All right, I'll be waiting for you at the entrance." After ending the call, George, weighed down by dozens of shopping bags, turned to Jennifer as he said, "Honey, I'll bring these bags to Jean first, then I'll come back to help you with your shopping." "Go ahead." Jennifer picked a few more dresses, asking Arabella for her opinion. She seemed intent on buying her the entire store. Feeling neglected, George was about to take the elevator when a sudden pain shot through his back, his old ailment flaring up again. Arabella noticed and excused herself to Jennifer before rushing over to him. "It's nothing serious, just my old back acting up. I'm getting old. It's only normal for me to have these kinds of problems. I can carry it." Looking at George's arms laden with over 30 shopping bags, Arabella felt guilty. "No need, I can handle it." George could never let his daughter-in-law carry the load. "But your back. It's all right, really." Just then, a female voice squealed in disbelief, "Arabella." Turning around, Arabella saw Yolanda in a young man's arm, looking at her in surprise. "Bella, is this a classmate of yours?" George was about to greet them. To his surprise, Arabella averted her gaze and said to George, "We're not close. Let me carry the bags." "But you're still young, we can't let you carry these." "I'll insist." "No, really, I can." Seeing Arabella still being her dismissive self, Yolanda felt a pang of irritation. "Yoli, is this the sister you've mentioned before?" Gerald had heard Yolanda talk about Arabella before, a woman who enjoyed being spoiled by older men, using their credit cards to fulfill her vanity, and scheming to put Yoli's parents in jail. She was a woman who looked down upon others and carried an air of arrogance. He didn't expect to run into her that day. Some people spend their lives relying on men to buy them luxury goods, and not just any men, but married, older men. "Yoli, don't you think she's pitiable?" Gerald added, placing a supportive hand on Yolanda's shoulder. looking down at Arabella from his high horse. Arabella and George were both speechless. Both had the same thought, what's his problem? Yolanda didn't know who that middle-aged man was, but his arms were laden with dozens of luxury shopping bags, clearly showing he was wealthy. She didn't expect Arabella, who she thought had settled down, to be mixing with an older man, and worse still, extorting him into buying her all those luxury goods. Even with Gerald's decent financial status, he would never buy her so many items at once. She didn't expect that older man to be so generous towards Arabella. With those thoughts, Yolanda was eaten up with jealousy. Arabella, I can't believe after all this time you're still so flighty. Yolanda feigned shock, you're a woman betrothed. Couldn't she ask Romeo to buy whatever she wanted? Why the need to use other men's credit cards? Was it to flaunt her alluring charm? Or had Romeo grown tired of her and no longer wanted to fund her shopping sprees? As she pondered that, Yolanda saw a glimmer of hope. If Romeo took an interest in her, then she could soon surpass Arabella. Arabella didn't expect Yolanda to still be so annoying after their time apart. She didn't even bother to look at her, took the shopping bags from George, and left with him. Because George had a sore back, Arabella walked slowly. My girlfriend is talking to you, are you deaf? Gerald was quite displeased with Arabella's cold demeanor. So, she was relying on her good looks, huh? She had been played by several old men, and at that point she was putting on that icy, aloof act. Did she still think of herself as a pure, innocent maiden? Didn't your parents teach you any manners? George was quite displeased with the young one's attitude. But Gerald found that amusing. What, you're brave enough to act but scared of being talked about? What have we done? George was baffled by the young man's baseless accusations. Arabella interjected, Uncle, don't mind him. Did you hear that? She's calling you uncle. Aren't you ashamed of yourself at your age? Do you know how many men she's been with before? What did you say? George's anger flared. Say it again. He dared to slander his daughter-in-law in front of him. I said this woman is like a whore. The next second, George's fist swung hard onto the young man's face without any hesitation. Damn. The young man didn't expect that middle-aged man to lose his temper and start a fight. Angrily, he retaliated, and they both went at it. People around them screamed and retreated, and Jennifer, inside the store, rushed out upon hearing the commotion. At the same time, the mall manager hurried over with several security guards, all puzzled by the situation. But in just a few seconds, George had the young man pinned down, landing punch after punch, and declared indignantly, You're so young and yet your tongue is so poisonous. What do your parents do? How did they raise such a scoundrel? Stop, stop. Yolanda was terrified. She didn't expect the middle-aged man to be stronger and more skillful than Gerald. Gerald was so useless. Just like any rich boy, he was like a flower in a greenhouse, unable to withstand any hardship. He couldn't even best an old man on the brink of death. The mall manager was taken aback by that scene and quickly dispersed the crowd. He bent over to George and respectfully asked, Mr. McMillian, what's the matter? This brat insulted my daughter-in-law, and I intend to deal with him myself. Everyone else stands aside. Uncle, you're back. Before Arabella could finish her sentence, George said, I'm fine, I'm all right. This brat just mentioned a whore? If he doesn't need his mouth, I can sew it shut. He only knows how to spew filth. Jennifer, who had just arrived, saw the scene, linked arms with Arabella, and watched the fight, amused. Let him have it. Arabella didn't know what to say. She had seen George get the better of Gerald a while ago, which was why she didn't intervene. She was just a bit worried about her future father-in-law's back. When Yolanda heard the middle-aged man being addressed as Mr. McMillian by the mall manager, a sinking feeling began to creep in. Could it be, was he Romeo's father? Just a moment ago, that man was accusing Gerald of being disrespectful towards his daughter-in-law. So, it turned out Arabella wasn't with some older man but was accompanying her future father-in-law shopping. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Arabella, hand in hand, was her future mother-in-law? Thinking that way, Yolanda felt doomed. Gerald's family background was no match for the McMillians. She was really done for that time. Just as she was planning to sneak away, she was quickly spotted by Arabella. Arabella gave the mall manager a quick glance and ordered, "Don't let her go." "My daughter-in-law wants you to catch someone, what are you waiting for?" Jennifer chimed in. Yolanda, overcome with fear, started running. But even as she sprinted with all her might, she was quickly restrained by a few security guards. She started yelling, "It's not my fault." At that moment, Gerald was beaten to a pulp, barely hanging on. George quickly discovered his background. He came from a family that owned a garment factory. What was so special about that? "I don't see any need for that shabby factory to continue existing." George, panting after the fight, said to someone over the phone, "Short it, make it go bankrupt." Having said that, he gave Gerald another kick. "Haven't you apologized to my daughter-in-law yet?" Gerald, already on the brink of collapse, saw Yolanda trying to escape but being dragged back, still insisting it wasn't her fault. Gerald suddenly realized that he had loved the wrong person. "Yes, I'm sorry." Gerald weakly said, "I heard she's been involved with several older men." "You dare to continue with that made-up story?" George threatened, raising his hand to hit him again. Gerald, terrified, instinctively used his hand to shield his head. "Surely, you're the one who spread these rumors? You know my daughter-in-law? Yet you deliberately slander her." Jennifer, who was standing by, coldly stared at Yolanda. "What does your family do?" "She's the Yolanda I told you about before," Arabella added. "Oh, so you're the bad girl." Jennifer realized, "Take her away, treat her well." Yes, the mall manager immediately instructed a few security guards to take them away. "Bella, are you all right?" Jennifer finally checked on her daughter-in-law. "I'm fine, but as for Uncle..." "Oh, my back." George suddenly half collapsed onto Jennifer. "Honey, it hurts, could you rub it for me?" Jennifer fell silent for a moment. Jennifer could tell he was faking it, but considering he had stood up for their precious daughter-in-law, she still rubbed his back a few times. Arabella couldn't help but grin. She was about to pick up the dozens of shopping bags on the floor when the mall manager had someone help, even taking the bag from her hand. "We'll take care of these small matters. I'm truly sorry for what happened in the mall under my management. It's good that you know." Jennifer glanced at him. "From now on, don't let them in." "Yes, I got it." George was still half leaning on his wife, but reluctant to put pressure on her, simply enjoying that moment of bliss. "I feel much better after you rubbed my back. So many people are watching, aren't you embarrassed?" "My back hurts, and you are helping me, why would I be embarrassed?" Reflections Mansion. Kenneth and Louisa were utterly shocked upon hearing that George had lost his temper and hit someone in defense of Bella. In their eyes, George was not a man prone to anger or violence, especially not in public. That just goes to show how much Mr. Macmillan cherishes his daughter-in-law Bella. He can't bear to see her treated unfairly. Edith, their housekeeper, said with a grin, "Bella is truly blessed to have such caring in-laws." "I heard that a couple of days ago, Jennifer even stood up for Bella and put the Everett family's daughter in her place," Louisa added, feeling a wave of emotion. It was clear to her that George and Jennifer saw Bella as their own daughter and went to great lengths to protect her. With such in-laws, she was confident that Bella would lead a happy life in the future. "They're coming over tonight. Edith, have you prepared everything I asked for?" Louisa suddenly asked. George and Jennifer were to visit that evening on Bella's behalf. Jennifer had arranged to go shopping with Bella to not only buy her things but also to pick out gifts for Kenneth and Louisa. However, Louisa was unaware of that. "Madam, everything is ready," Edith answered, smiling. "The house has been thoroughly cleaned, fresh flowers have been placed in the vases, and there's no shortage of pastries and fruits. We're just waiting for their arrival." Good, Louisa glanced at the clock, noting that they had 2 hours left until the agreed meeting time. She was filled with anticipation. At that moment, Serena entered the gate of Reflections Mansion, noticing the considerable changes in and around the house. The garden was adorned with a variety of new flowers, each blooming vibrantly. "Serena, you're finally here." Martha pulled her aside and whispered, "Have you decided on the piece for tonight's performance? And your dress? Do you need my help?" Martha, I'm not here to steal the spotlight, Serena said, revealing her true intentions to her. I'm on vacation and I missed my parents, so I decided to stay here for a few days. After I greet everyone tonight, I'll just go to my room. I don't want to disturb them. Serena, you're still as stubborn as ever. Martha exclaimed in frustration. She was disappointed to see that Serena had changed so much ever since she was frightened by an incident with Chaucel and Myrna Geller. This evening presented a rare opportunity. If she could impress Romeo's parents, becoming the future daughter-in-law of the Macmillan family wouldn't be a problem. After all, even if Romeo loved Bella, could he really go against his parents' wishes and marry her directly? Mr. and Mrs. Macmillan have watched you grow up all these years. They surely feel more affection for you than for Bella. Yet, she was doing nothing on her behalf to grab that golden opportunity. Martha, didn't you just say in our WhatsApp group that Mr. George and Jennifer have already taken Bella's side twice? They must really like her. I don't want to waste my time or compete anymore. There are plenty of men in the world besides Romeo. Worst case scenario, I'll remain single forever. But he's the best, the most capable, the most protective, and the most deserving of you. Martha said passionately, her voice heavy. Serena, I've watched you grow day by day. I truly can't bear to see you fall from the pedestal of a golden girl to an ordinary citizen. Can you understand my feelings? Just then, Serena noticed Bella entering through the mansion gate. All right, Martha, let's leave it at that. I'm going to my room now, Serena. Martha called after her, frustrated by her nonchalance. Just as Serena was about to climb the steps to the main building, she heard Martha yelp. Turning back, she saw Bella standing coldly beside Martha, who had fallen to the ground. Rushing over, Serena helped Martha up, asking, Martha? Are you all right? Did you hurt yourself? Serena, it's okay, I'm just getting old and clumsy. I lost my footing. It's not a big deal. Martha's knees were scraped raw and bruised. From the sidelines, Arabella watched Martha's poor performance and coldly added, not only are you getting old, but your acting has gone downhill too, not what it used to be. Martha didn't expect Arabella to be so sharp-tongued. Suddenly, she groaned in pain, clutching her waist. Is your back hurting? Serena immediately became concerned. Let me help you inside to get some ointment, see if you can stand up. Serena, don't worry about me, I'm fine. Ouch, it hurts. Martha managed to stand up with Serena's help, groaning in pain all the while. Arabella, tired of watching her act, strode towards the house with her long legs. Arabella. Serena couldn't help but stop her, wanting to say something but hesitating, finally blurting out, what the hell happened? She fell on her own. Arabella dropped that sentence as if she didn't want to waste time with them and walked up the steps into the main house. Serena bit her lower lip, seemingly unconvinced. I've already told you, I fell on my own, Martha feigned again. But you were walking just fine on a flat and wide path, how could you fall like this? Serena, I don't know how to explain. It's okay if I suffer a bit, I mainly worry about you. Martha slowly moved towards the side house. Oh, forget it, if people didn't know better, they might think I was teaching you to be a bad person. Serena didn't say anything, just quietly helped her walk, already holding some resentment towards Arabella in her heart. You're already 18, there are some things you need to learn to judge for yourself. Martha was helped to the side house door. All right, this is far enough, I can go in on my own. I can get some ointment for you. No need, Gloria can help me. Serena watched her stumble away, thinking to herself that Martha was too old to hurt herself on purpose just to slander a teenage girl, especially when she fell so hard on the ground. She was more excited than anyone about George and Jennifer's arrival that night. If she intentionally hurt herself, she wouldn't be able to show her face in front of them. Given Martha's nature, she would definitely praise Serena to George and Jennifer. She wouldn't miss that opportunity for the world. But Arabella's demeanor at that moment didn't seem like she was lying. Given Arabella's nature, if she did it on purpose, she would surely admit it. So, what really happened there? However, after weighing everything, Serena still trusted Martha more, thinking that Arabella must have pushed or bumped Martha. The reason being that Martha had just been whispering to her, which Arabella saw when she had returned. It's possible that Arabella was taking that opportunity for revenge. At that moment, Serena's phone vibrated again. When she looked at it, she was stunned. "Oh, by the way, the outfit that your parents are wearing today was a gift from Arabella, and yours," Martha added once again. "You might want to take a look at the seasonal wardrobe." The seasonal wardrobe, as the name implies, was where the unwanted and unused clothes were temporarily stored. After a while, some of the better pieces would be picked out for donation, a kind of charitable act. The wardrobe was packed to the brim, taking up a massive space. It was teeming with clothes, too many to count. Serena could hardly contain her surprise. When she went to take a look, she found her carefully selected pieces, some of which she had even paid a pretty penny for a designer to tailor specifically for her parents, all shoved to the back. They were not worn, not even once. She felt a pang of disappointment. Tonight, Romeo's parents were coming over. Her beloved parents were wearing the designs of Arabella and not the ones she gave them. Did this mean they thought her gifts were not up to the mark? "Serena, have you noticed that your fate is quite similar to these clothes? Initially, you thought you could catch your parents' attention, but it turned out that they didn't even give those clothes a second look." Serena's eyes dimmed. Meanwhile, a glint of complacence flashed in Martha's eyes. Yesterday, she had told Kenneth and Louisa that she would take Serena's clothes to be ironed. With their consent, she secretly moved these brand new pieces to the seasonal wardrobe, intending to let Serena see and misunderstand. The clothes Serena gave this time were mainly black and white. To avoid being found out, she took a few black and white pieces that Serena had given to Kenneth and Louisa half a year ago, tried to make them look worn and old, and asked if they wanted to keep them. Naturally, they wouldn't wear such clothes and allowed her to move them to the seasonal wardrobe, intending to donate them. Later, Serena hesitated before going downstairs. Louisa was arranging flowers, and Serena casually struck up a conversation, pretending nothing was amiss. After a while, she finally asked, "Mom, I was just moving some old clothes to the seasonal wardrobe, and I noticed those black and white pieces I gave you. Don't you like them?" "Oh." Louisa suddenly remembered what Martha had said and gave her a smiling glance. "The design is nice, but we can't wear them anymore, dear. You're very thoughtful, but don't spend so much on clothes for us in the future." Serena pressed, "Why can't you wear them?" "Well, the color isn't quite right. They don't look good on." Louisa was puzzled by her daughter's questioning. The color wasn't right. They didn't look good on. Serena pondered for a moment and then it clicked. Of course, black and white symbolized ill fortune. They couldn't wear these colors for such an occasion. But they could save those clothes for later, right? There was no need to move them to the seasonal wardrobe. She looked again at Louisa's beautiful dress. That was the color of celebration, wasn't it? Finally, Serena accepted the truth. Martha wasn't lying. Her parents really did this. They had thrown her heartfelt gifts into the seasonal wardrobe. Earlier in the seasonal wardrobe, she had even seen many of her favorite pieces, discarded without her knowledge. Martha said it was her parents' command. Could this household not accommodate both her and her clothing? She refrained from asking further, exchanged a few words, and then she ascended the stairs. Her retreating figure was somewhat dim and forlorn. As Louisa arranged some flowers, she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off with Serena today. Could it be that Serena was upset because she had worn the dress gifted by Arabella instead of the one she had given her? With this thought, Louisa dialed Martha's number again. "Martha, have you ironed the clothes Serena gifted us?" "Madam, are you referring to the recent batch from Serena? She gifts us quite a number of clothes. Since they're of fine quality, I didn't want to ruin them by ironing them myself. I've spoken to the professional ironing service you usually use. They've agreed to take care of all the clothes Serena sent, but they're a bit busy, so they haven't gotten to them just yet." Louisa was taken aback by this turn of events. "In that case, don't bother ironing them. Serena's on leave these days and I'd like to wear some of them." "Madam, I've already sent them to the ironing company. Should I retrieve them? I thought it would be best to get them ironed since the Macmillans visit often. If you want, I can fetch them right away." "Oh my." Martha pretended to wince in pain. Alarmed, Louisa quickly asked, Martha, what happened? Martha chuckled, nothing serious. I just took a tumble today. Oh? When did this happen? Where did you fall? Are you okay? Have you seen a doctor? Louisa's concern overpowered any suspicions she might have had. No worries, it's just old age catching up. In a couple of years, I'll need to retire. When Serena's glamorous wedding took place and her identity became public, why would she continue as a housekeeper, enduring such humiliation? She would quit and move in with Serena. Louisa was reluctant to let her go, expressing her gratitude for Martha's hard work before ending the call. The issue with the clothes wasn't urgent. Louisa advised Martha to rest, and Martha proceeded to text Serena via WhatsApp. After she found no discrepancies on Serena's end, her spirits lifted. At 8 p.m., a jubilant servant announced, "The Macmillians are here, and they've brought a ton of stuff." Merely the greeting gifts required 18 bodyguards to carry them in, leaving everyone stunned with their extravagance. Kenneth and Louisa were about to welcome them when Edith swiftly ushered George and Jennifer inside. "Kenneth, long time no see." George warmly greeted Kenneth, shaking his hand and giving him a gentlemanly hug, chuckling, "I've been over the moon these days." "Jennifer, you finally decided to grace us with your presence. It's been ages since we saw you last." "Oh, Jennifer's been pampered by her husband." Kenneth jested. "I must say you two look younger, revitalized by your daughter's return." Jennifer praised them, and the four of them invited each other to sit down. The 18 bodyguards carried in all the gifts, arranging them neatly on one side. "Oh my, Jennifer, anyone who didn't know better would think you were here to propose a marriage, bringing all these gifts. Who arrives for a proposal so casually? But Bella's really won me over," Jennifer said, adding with a chuckle, "and not just me, George is quite taken with her too." Jennifer is spot on with that. "It's not just us, even the elders at home are quite fond of her. She's smart, beautiful, modest, and talented. She's an artist, calligrapher, pianist, and brand founder. Honestly, the list just goes on," George laughed. Jennifer chimed in, "And I heard she topped the National College entrance examination. Louisa, you and Kenneth certainly know how to raise a brilliant child." Kenneth and Louisa were taken aback. An artist and calligrapher? When did this happen? Why didn't they know? "You said Bella is an artist?" Kenneth couldn't help but ask. "Calligrapher?" Louisa was equally surprised. After their questions, they both turned their gaze towards Arabella, who was coming downstairs, in complete astonishment. When did their daughter acquire these new talents? Arabella hadn't expected to be revealed as soon as she came downstairs after her shower, let alone that George and Jennifer would arrive early. She politely greeted everyone present. "Bella, you're here." Jennifer's eyes were full of admiration and satisfaction as she looked at her future daughter-in-law, casually dressed and looking gorgeous. Jennifer couldn't help but adore her. "Come sit here." Jennifer affectionately pulled Arabella to sit next to her. After greeting Arabella, George turned to Kenneth and asked, "Didn't you know that? About Bella being Mirabelle?" Mirabelle's exceptional painting skills were renowned in the art world. With her exquisite brushstrokes, fluid style, and imaginative creativity, she had single-handedly elevated the entire art world. Each of her works embodied the perfect blend of form and spirit, radiating a vibrant charm. She was revered as a master in the art world. "Don't you have one of her paintings hanging there?" George pointed to a painting on the wall, another masterpiece. That was a painting Kenneth had won a year ago at an auction. He had found the painting so captivating that he paid $10 million for it and hung it in the living room. But he had no idea that the painting was his daughter's work. His daughter had been home for quite some time but had never mentioned that the painting on the wall was her creation. This girl was far too modest. In truth, Arabella wasn't modest. When she didn't know Kenneth and had someone auction her painting, she had asked for an exorbitant price. She had felt a twinge of guilt when she saw the painting later. Suddenly, Kenneth remembered something else. On the day his daughter came home, her gaze had briefly rested on the painting. It was a renowned piece by the famous painter Mirabelle. Bella had suggested then that he hang it in the study. Thinking about it now, Kenneth found that the antique painting did look a bit out of place among the modern art pieces in the living room. Her suggestion to hang it in the study, where it would complement the other pieces, was indeed apt. She must have recognized it at first glance. Such discerning eyes. And Bella is also the calligrapher Labella. Jennifer started talking about how they had met her future daughter-in-law, growing more and more delighted. Kenneth and Louisa hadn't expected their daughter to have so many aliases, nor that she would not only save her future mother-in-law by a twist of fate but also win over the hearts of her future in-laws.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.